All right, we have more changes unfolding in the halls of the West Wing and at leadership in DHS. Changes that have some stunning revelations coming out this week about the policy decisions and the actions that members of the current administration made in their effort to fight the wave of illegal immigration. A story that deserves extra attention and scrutiny. Stories like these tend to be buried and covered up, but this is our country, folks. You deserve to know what's happening, what the people in power are doing, and this is just like the most roundabout, ridiculous plan anyone could come up with. A plan that's been drawn up, executed on, and completed. Wait till you see this. But before we get started, thank you for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps out the channel. And consider subscribing so you don't miss these regular updates. So illegal immigration to the US has exploded since 2021. We all know that. The data's in. It's clear. It's unambiguous. The numbers speak for themselves. You could see it on this chart. We are multiples higher than any previous administration, and the models project this year, 2024, will be off the freaking chart. This projection's from CBP, Customs and Border Protection. On the high end, the number will double from last year. Over 6 million people on the high end are projected to enter the country this year. What the hell is going on here? I mean, really, what's going on? The president could stop this with one executive order. So why isn't he? Well, we're going to get to that later in the video, but first, let me show you some news that came out this week. A story so backwards, it's infuriating. And after you see this, even if you're a down-the-middle type person, you're going to be left scratching your head and asking, are they even trying to stop this? Or is this maybe, in fact, the policy, the purpose of the policy? Well, look at this. Biden administration admits flying 320,000 migrants secretly into the U.S. to reduce the number of crossings at the border, and now has national security vulnerabilities. Now, before we look at this, realize they did this, they say, to avoid bad optics. They spent our money to fly 320,000 people illegally into our country. Our tax dollars at work, folks. Included in the details of a FOIA lawsuit, the Center for Immigration Studies found Biden CBP approved the latest secretive flights that transported hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants from foreign countries into at least 43 different American airports from January through December 2023. The program was part of Biden's expansion of the CBP One app, which kicked off at the start of last year. Under this parole release, migrants are able to remain in the U.S. for 2 years without obtaining legal status and meanwhile are eligible for work authorization. That means they can work legally. So the 7.2 million illegal migrants that have entered the country since 2021, that's the low estimate, by the way, 7.2 million people under Biden. Could be over 10 million, we just don't know. But the bare minimum is 7.2 million people. A huge portion of them, by the way, can work legally. They're here illegally, but they can work legally through this loophole, which probably explains the unemployment numbers staying so low. This is probably boosting the economy. It's like a non-stop tourism industry. 7.2 million more people spending money and working. So is this part of the plan, part of why they're doing this? I don't know, but ask yourself this. If the administration wanted to stop the flow of illegal immigration, or not even stop, but just slow it down to a normal level, would they have done this? Would they have voluntarily created an app for your phone, use the NGOs to hand out flyers in these foreign countries with directions on how to download the app and use it? Show them how to get onto one of these flights. You have to know how to download this app, where to get it, and know where to sign up for the free flight. Even people who work at CBP weren't aware this existed. So how the hell did 320,000 people in Kenya, China, the Middle East, how did all them figure it out? They were basically marketing free rides to the U.S. And the NGOs play a massive role in all this. They're like the infrastructure behind the scenes, organizing most of this. We saw some of the details of that laid out in writing in that border bill that the Senate tried to pass last month. They slotted billions of dollars to NGOs for their part in the illegal immigration operation. Elon Musk posted about this, writing this in February, when the draft of the bill was released, saying, quote, NGO personnel who deliberately and repeatedly broke the law to facilitate illegal immigration should face prosecution immediately, unquote. So what the hell's going on? Why are they doing this? Why would any president, any administration be trying to ramp up the numbers? I mean, you don't see numbers like this, 8 times the number of people this year than 2020. That's not accidental. They must be trying to increase the numbers. So why? Well, I don't know. I have some ideas. Now, one way to look at this is, what are all these people going to be used for? I mean, they're bringing them here for a reason. So what is that reason? Well, watch this.
There is no higher honor than serving your country in uniform.
And that honor could be extended to migrants under a new bill introduced by Hudson Valley Congressman Pat Ryan. Called the Courage to Serve Act, this bill would offer qualified and vetted migrants an expedited path to citizenship if they serve in the military. According to Ryan, last year the military services collectively missed recruiting goals by roughly 41,000 recruits, leaving some crucial positions unfilled.
If there are folks with the courage to raise their right hand, take an oath to protect and defend our Constitution, and put their lives on the line for this country, then they sure as hell deserve the opportunity to be citizens in the United States of America.
I've been hearing about this for months now. The first time I heard it was last year when Dick Durbin, the Democrat whip in the Senate, made a comment on the floor after coming out of a meeting with Pentagon leadership. Watch what he said then.
What troubles me about the debate now about the southern border is it is one half of the immigration equation. Yes, we need order at the border. Yes, we need to have changes in the laws that reflect the reality of the overwhelming numbers from all over the world who are coming to our shores and our border. But there's also an incredible demand for legal immigration into this country even now. The presiding officer, my colleague from the state of Illinois, has legislation which addresses one aspect of that. Her bill, and I hope I describe it accurately, says that if you're an undocumented person in this country and you can pass the physical and the required test, background test, the like, you can serve in our military, and if you do it honorably, we will make you citizens of the United States. Do we need that? Do you know what the recruiting numbers are at the Army and the Navy and the Air Force? They can't reach their quotas each month. They can't find enough people to join our military forces. And there are those who are undocumented who want the chance to serve and risk their lives for this country. Should we give them the chance? I think we should.
And Dick Durbin isn't some low-level congressman. He's the majority whip in the Senate. He's been there for years, so he's on board with this legislation. That means there's been a lot more conversation about this than we're even aware of. Now, I'm not saying this is the entire reason. To be honest, I have no idea what the point of all this is. We all know if they wanted to fix the problem, they could in a single day, but they're not. They purposely seem to be perpetuating it, spending our money on it, and lying to us about it, going out on camera talking about how difficult a problem this is to fix, how complex a problem it is. It's not difficult. It's not complex. It's a freaking border. You don't enter without proper identification and legal approval. Just like at the airport. If you try to access the terminal at the airport without your ticket and identification, they don't just let you walk on through, they turn you around. This whole conversation's just gotten so twisted over the years for decades now. They've tricked us into thinking this is an unsolvable problem, and they do that purposely, folks. Both parties are at fault for that in Congress, but Congress has nothing to do with the White House. The executive can fix this himself if he wanted to. And look, it's not about being anti-immigration. It's about the fact that we're having hordes of people flooding into this country. None of us voted for this. It's hands down the most impactful policy of this administration, and nobody voted for it. And the White House isn't even taking credit for it. This is having a direct effect on everyone. These types of numbers, this quantity of people, regardless who they are, this level of immigration affects everything. We're talking tens of millions of people. Shouldn't we get a say? Shouldn't they come out and tell us this is what we're doing instead of doing it all in the background, under the table, for who knows why and what reason? During the next election, Joe Biden should say, this is my policy. If you reelect me, I'll bring another 10 million illegal migrants into the country. I don't think anyone would want that, let's be honest. All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe, we'll see you next time.